morning, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday Thought for the Day. When I started my discernment process around 30 years ago to see if I was really called to serve as one of God's ministers, there are a couple of comments that have lodged in my memory. One, quite painful, and the other makes me smile each time I think of it. The painful comment was that if I had been male, my interviewer would not have had to tell me that women couldn't be priests, even though I had all the qualities they were looking for. That, of course, has changed over the years, and women can now even be bishops, and who knows, one day, perhaps archbishops. But that comment was made because of what was acceptable at the time. We can look at many aspirations of different people, gender, race, and creed throughout history. And if we only see it through 21st century eyes, we see an injustice of today. But we have to go back and look at those actions of the time that they were made. History can only be changed when the past is examined and redirected to reflect humanity growing and looking to the future rather than just sitting back and becoming angry and bitter at their lot. To move forward, we can't live in the past. We have to examine history and where it went so badly wrong and start to build, and most importantly, never repeat those mistakes. That has to start with oneself. Many times it is through forgiveness, changing the pain of negativity into the euphoria of positivity. The comment that still makes me smile was while I was still going through that discernment process, but a little bit later on, and I was told that I have a butterfly mind. I liked that. I felt it gave me a freedom, as if I had for too long conformed to what society said girls should be when I was growing up. We certainly were not encouraged to aspire to go to university. College was okay, because that usually lent to being a teacher or a secretary. Then, of course, apprenticeships. And for us girls, it was generally hairdressing. Well, that was my lot. Then working in shops, factories, or hotels. But then it would probably only be as a room maid or as a waitress or something like that. We didn't aspire to work very highly. Well, after I'd finished my apprenticeship, I applied for my next job, and I was horrified at the innuendos made by the would-be employer. So anyway, I complained at the job centre, and they laughed at me, and they told me, "Oh, get over it." But of course, today, if that had happened, he would probably have been accused and no doubt charged with sexual harassment. It took me a lot of courage to ring up and complain. After all, the 60s were well known for being a time of free love, flower power, and bam, boom. But it didn't mean that we were all part of that scene. And that is important to remember. For every bad person in the past, there are thousands of good. Now, I was wandering around Morrison's yesterday thinking about how I was going to sort of present my thought for today. And I remembered part of a prayer that we used to say when I was younger. And that was this. It was the unanswered prayer of serenity. I asked for strength that I might achieve. I was made weak that I might learn humbly to obey. I asked for health that I might do greater things. I was given infirmity that I might do better things. I asked for riches that I might be happy. I was given poverty that I might be wise. I asked for power that I might have the praise of men. I was given weakness that I might feel the need of God. I asked for all things that I might enjoy life. I was given life that I might enjoy all things. I got nothing that I had asked for, but everything that I had hoped for, almost despite myself. my unanswered prayers were answered. I am among all most richly blessed. And I think there's a lot in there that actually reflects Jesus' teaching in the Beatitudes. And I would highly recommend that if you want to sit down quietly in a corner somewhere, go and read Matthew 5. Just reflect on those words that he puts in there. But as I said, I got back into my car yesterday and switched on the engine as I do, and there, blaring away, was my wonderful worship music. And it was this particular group, Rent Collective, and the phrase that they were singing that sort of lifted my spirits at that moment. And it was, build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear, show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land, set your church on fire, win this nation back, change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here, we pray. And of course, when that line, set your church on fire, it's not the brick building I'm talking about. It's you and me, for we are the church. But I'd like to finish with a prayer. It was written by Reinhold Niebuhr, and it appeared in the Book of Prayers and Services for the Armed Forces in 1944. And it is the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking, as he did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen. Be safe and know that you are loved.